In a dark and secluded house on the outskirts of town lived the Smith family. Mr. Smith was a respected lawyer, and Mrs. Smith was a charming and caring wife. But something strange began to happen in their home. Every night when Mrs. Smith was cooking dinner, a strange smell wafted through the house. Mr. Smith couldn't figure out where this something was coming from, but he could see his wife secretly hiding in the cellar every time she cooked dinner. One evening, Mr. Smith decided to find out what was going on behind the closed cellar doors. He started to follow his wife and saw her mysteriously come out of the cellar with a bag containing something heavy and of indeterminate shape. Mr. Smith decided to waste no time and follow his wife. As he wandered through the dark corridors of the cellar, he heard strange sounds and whispers. Suddenly, he froze with horror when he saw his wife standing in front of the dead body of a man. She was slowly cutting off a piece of meat and putting it in a bag. Mr. Smith could not believe his eyes. His beautiful and gentle wife had turned out to be a cannibalistic maniac. Smith was shocked. He resolutely emerged from the confinement of the cellar and rushed to the telephone to call the police. But when he returned with the policeman, the cellar was empty. Mrs. Smith had disappeared and was soon reported missing. Years went by, and the case of Mrs. Smith's disappearance never found a resolution. But one day in the woods, not far from the Smith family's home, were found charred bones and a woman's shoe. Police discovered that they were the remains of the missing Mrs. Smith. Mr. Smith now lived in constant fear, and it seemed that his wife's soul could not leave the house. Every night as he sat at the table, he heard whispers and felt the presence of Mrs. Smith, who kept bringing strange meat for dinner. He knew that this meat was human meat, and that his wife was the victim of her own cruel hunger. Mr. Smith had become insane, unable to leave the house, which had become to him a dungeon of fear and terror. His wife became a ghost that haunted him every night but could never touch him. His life became a nightmare from which there was no escape. Mr. Smith sank into the darkness of madness, unable to understand how his life could have changed so drastically. He spent days and nights in isolation, trying to understand what had happened and how he could walk away from this nightmare. But every time he spent the evening eating dinner alone at the table, he heard whispers from the depths of the cellar and felt the cold presence of his wife. Mr. Smith began to lose sleep and appetite, his mind taken over by those eerie images from the past. He began to see his wife's ghost in every corner of the house, hear her footsteps in the hallways, and feel her breath on his shoulder. He could no longer distinguish reality from nightmare, and every day was a challenge for him. One gloomy evening, Mr. Smith decided to put an end to his torment. He opened a bottle of whiskey that had been sitting in his closet for a long time and started drinking, trying to forget all the terrible events from his life. He drank and drank until he finally lost consciousness. When he came to, he found himself lying on the cellar floor, his wife's body lying in front of him. He realized that it was all just an alcohol-induced hallucination, that his wife was gone and would not be coming back, that he had to accept what had happened and move on. Mr. Smith realized that he could not stay in this house, which had become a prison for him. He sold the house and moved to another city, trying to start a new life. But even there, in his new place, the shadows of the past would not let him go. He always remained lonely and afraid, but in his heart lived the hope that he could one day forget all the terrible events and start living again. And yet sometimes, in the dark nights, he could still hear his wife's whispers and feel her touch. The past haunted him, forever leaving a mark on his soul. But he decided not to let that dark past define his future and began to move forward, hoping for the best. Translated with DeepL.com free version.